welcome everybody. I'm Katrina Firth from the Association of Pet Dog Trainers, and this is another instalment from Train Your Dog Month. Can everybody hear me and see me okay? Just say a little hi in the comments, or do a little reaction so that we know that people are watching. We'll just wait for the comments. So tonight I'm joined by Julie Hilliard of 1066 Pets and People Training and Behaviour, based down in Hastings. I'm just going to bring her on. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
So before we get started with your presentation, which is going to be all about how to teach a dog to settle, why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Okie dokie. So I'm based in Hastings, East Sussex. I started off as a puppy tutor, been training for about 12 years. And my favourite thing is working with reactive dogs now, really. So teaching a settle is just a nice, fairly simple exercise that is quite often overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to take our dogs everywhere with us, don't we? So getting them to be able to relax in lots of different environments is really important. Okay, if you want to share your screen, I will hand over to you for the presentation.
Lovely, thank you. Right, let's see.
Great, if you can just click present.
Okay.
There we go.
Can you see that title slide, teaching a settle?
Yep, we can see it fine.
Cool. Okay. So, teaching a settle. We're going to do a couple of different versions. We will do a little bit more of a complicated one to start with for the people that like to get into all the juicy training. And then we can do a little bit more of a simple one that is still going to be useful for pet parents. So, a non-slip mat for hard floors. We don't want our doggies slipping. Individual food rewards, whatever is appropriate for your dog, whether they like fruit, veg, meat, dairy, biscuits, soft texture, whatever they like. If they're a tiny breed, you might want baby food in a syringe. They've only got tiny tummies, but you want to be able to reward little and often. A 6-foot training lead, really useful. We don't want any tension on that. We want this to be nice and relaxed. So the first version that you're going to see is at home anyway. So that will be off lead initially. And then there's an on lead version, which is going to happen if you're at the pub or the cafe. And sometimes we don't think of doing it at home, but doing a practice run and doing a reinforcement history so that they've gone through the steps does help us relocate to a different location. You want a nice place at home, not too busy, not a busy time of day, and you'll have to suss out what works best for you and your dog. So we're going to reward good choices. When you put your mat down, you have a golden opportunity that the dog is going to come over and investigate. So as soon as they come over and have a look, have a sniff, walk over, any interaction with that mat, we want to reward that. We can then throw a treat away to reset them. So the busier dogs that like kind of hopping on and off, they might need to and fro for a bit. Other dogs that are more placid, they might just want to kind of stay where they are, and we've got to go with the dog that's in front of us. We can encourage a sit or a down, but this isn't telling them to stay or wait. It's not a compliance exercise. It's about rewarding them for choosing to stay there of their own accord. We then gradually build up time and distraction levels in really nice little manageable chunks and go at your dog's pace. If your dog only wants to do one repetition, that is still a success. That is still a little bit of progress, even if it is only one repetition. So the relaxation protocol was originally done by Dr. Karen Overall, and I am following Morag Hare's actual list of instructions. I'll put the audio on for a little while, but I'm not going to play all of it, and then I'll stop and talk over it. Relaxation protocol, task 1. Lie down for 5 seconds. Good. Lie down for 10 seconds. Good. So as you can see, it's not very exciting training proactively, but we are building this lovely learning history. So I've got treats on the side with easy access. I've got treats in my back pocket, but I don't want to have the treat in my hand. I don't want the dog to focus on just give me the treat. She just turned round then. If she had got up because there was a delivery driver at the door, something like that, I would have just stopped the training, because then she would have been in more of an aroused state and too excited to train again. So if it's not the right time, don't get frustrated. Just come back at another time and it will come together. It's not about compliance and getting the job done. You want them to have a willingness to work with you and to be happy to come back and engage with the training next time, because that's what will get you long-term results. So this was 15 tasks done over a period of time, and it might have been a 15-20 minute training session. It might have been 5 minutes. If you set an intention, right, I'm going to train at 4 o'clock this afternoon, at least you get something done. At least you've made some progress. So here there is stepping forward, backwards, there's a bit of hand clapping, so we're adding in sound and movement, all in manageable chunks. And when I finish the session, I just say, okay, that's my verbal release word. So I won't play all of that. But basically what happens over time and repetition is they go to the mat themselves. So this was a couple of days ago. This wasn't set up. This is me just putting grated cheese on my jacket potato. And I thought, oh, I'll just grab a bit of film of that. So that mat is normally in my kitchen. So sometimes she will come in and just settle down. So she doesn't know if any food is coming her way or not, but she knows that I'm preparing food. She was lucky enough to get a little bit of grated cheddar. That's all good. Oh, I've lost my little... There we go. Sorry, got stuck there. I lost a video. So that one. Okay, so this is relocating. I've taken her down the shed and the mat has gone down and she's happily gone on there. She's more excited because we've come down the garden, different smells, interesting things. But the door is open, so if she wanted to go back out in the garden, she could. But she's choosing to be there because they like working with us generally, as long as we're having a nice time together.
Good.
So my next challenge could be, when the weather's nicer, to train some of these things, these variations, in the garden. Or I could go on lead, go up the football playing field, find a quiet corner when there's not loads of people about, and do it there. And then each time there will be automatically layered in other distraction levels from what's around us.
Good girl. Okay.
So the canine ladder of aggression is often referred to as the ladder of communication now, because if we are aware of the subtle warning signs of when our dog is feeling uncomfortable, we can help them make space, avoid tricky situations. So this ladder is kind of green go behaviours at the bottom, more kind of warning signs as we go up into amber. We don't want to get to the top. We don't want snap or bite in the red zone. And if we're observant and seeing the subtle stuff like tongue flicking, turning the head away, yawning, blinking, we will, if we've put them in a tricky position, then obviously we've got to help them out. So this is a dog-friendly cafe at the Wildlife Trust, so dogs are welcome. The dogs are about 10 feet apart, but I couldn't quite get at the right angle, so I had to do it as two separate photos. So you've got two dogs that are settling with their people, having a cup of tea, slice of cake. My shepherd was actually a little bit too overstimulated. She's looking at them, she's having a bit of panting. She did do some moving around. She did not find it easy to settle. So I need to make that easier for her, take it back, go there at a quieter time of day, go outside. They've got a lovely table and chair area. That was a horrible rainy day, so everybody was indoors. But that was a little bit too much for her. So I need to help her make that easier. Okay, this is a little sprocker, quite a high energy little chap. He's got some fab owners that have done a lot of settle training to help him calm himself down for separation issues, so that they can go in another room when they are at home, that he's not pestering, can we play, can we do this, can we do an activity. He's been able to find a switch off rather than let's go, go, go. And they've also relocated this to the vets, which is harder because there's obviously an emotional response at that sort of location because of the smells and the other things that are going on. So that is a pretty busy waiting room. To expect our dogs to settle and be totally calm is not very realistic. And we've got to be fair to the dogs. You know, they're thinking about what's going to happen when I get in the consulting room. So teaching a settle is really useful, but we've got to be realistic about where we expect them to carry that out. So assistance dogs have to get used to loads of different locations, different textures underfoot, different types of transport, noises, fire alarms, supermarkets. They've got to be pretty rock solid. And that is lots of practice in a low level way with minimal distractions first, and then building it up so that they are not overwhelmed and pushed out of their comfort zone. So she is doing a lovely job there. Okay, if we're struggling with getting our dogs to settle, perhaps something is out of balance, so we need to have a look about their 24 hours in their day. Do they feel safe? Are there arguments going on in the family? Are they picking up on stress? Are they comfortable? Too hot? Too cold? Are the kids running around screaming and slamming doors and all sorts of various things that could upset our dogs? Food and nutrition, any kind of gut digestive issue we know is going to affect behaviour. So what works for one dog doesn't work for another. So if their poos are not coming out as nice as they should be, it is definitely worth looking at. Can we change the food to make it more suitable for this particular dog? And a canine nutritionist is really worth getting on board. Exercise, we don't just want to give them loads and loads of physical exercise so they become more athletic and need more physical exercise. Mental enrichment is fantastic, sniffing around the garden, sprinkle feeding, brain games type things, so rewarding for them and help them settle and calm down afterwards. Healthy mind and body, are they able to rest during the day, relax and sleep well at night? If they have been stressed and they've had high adrenaline and cortisol levels, that needs to come back to a nice resting base level and can take up to 3 days to kind of come back down. So if they keep getting stressed about different things, they're not going to be able to switch off. They are going to be fidgety and kind of don't know what to do with themselves. So this is in a class situation. So this dog is on lead. So what is different now is that dog has got a chew and the people are disengaged as such. They're not stroking, they're not interacting with him, they're just leaving him be and they're relaxing themselves sitting next to him. Whereas when you're interacting with the relaxation protocol, you're working together as a team, whereas this is no interaction, just chill. So it's slightly different. And this is the one that you want to be doing if you want your dog to settle when you're eating, having dinner, or if you want to take them on your travels and get them to settle at the pub or the cafe. So we've got a licky mat here, which is good for squeezy cheese, pate, putting meat on there, yogurt, whatever appeals to your dog. If the treat, chew, whatever it is you're using doesn't appeal to them, you're probably not going to get the settle. It's got to really engage them. Or are they worried about something and they just they're not relaxed enough to be able to settle. So we've got to suss out what's going on for the individual dog to help them the best we can. So this little Frenchie has, this is a standing settle. That's obviously a comfortable way for him to do that. This little pup is having a chew on a toy, which is fine as long as they're not swallowing bits of material. Whatever appeals to your dog, go with it as long as it's safe, entertaining them. The muffin tray and the snuffle mat, there's more activity when they are actually using it, but because they're searching and sniffing and being active, looking for the food, sniffing the food, they're going to settle down afterwards. And lots of things that we can use out of the recycling to entertain our doggies. We don't have to spend loads of money creating stuff, cardboard boxes, plastic bottles, all sorts. There's a little cutie. There are some there's another design that's got pockets on the side. So if your dog if they're recovering from surgery and they can't do their normal amount of exercise, doing different things to engage their nose is going to keep them entertained. And there is a nice relaxed dog. So they are going to be more resilient about the challenges during their day if they are able to really relax and switch off. And that's what we're aiming for, a nice relaxed dog. And that is my contact details, and I have to stop there, go back to Katrina.
Excellent.
Okay.
Really enjoyed that. Thank you. Can you tell people how long they could expect it to take to teach their dog to settle? Give us some scenarios, maybe.
Okay. In the class situation, what I should have said, is if people are moving around, you don't want any resource guarding issues. So if a dog is chewing a chew, you don't want another dog to come in and interfere with that dog. So the simple settle down, the dog generally gets that within a week, that the mat goes down, something nice comes out, a filled Kong, a licky mat, whatever it may be, and they'll go, yeah, that's a nice place to be, I'm going to go there. So the simple version doesn't take any long at all. The relaxation protocol, so when I videoed it, me doing it with my own dog, I aimed to do it in 3 weeks. And I'm going to do, I'll do it Monday to Friday, 15-20 minutes. It actually turned into 3 months. I didn't do it every day. I kind of did it every 2 or 3 days. But you come at it in a relaxed way, and then you don't get frustrated about it. You just come, let's see what we're going to achieve today. So there was no pressure. I've got to get from A, B, C. Just do what you need to do. So one of the things was knocking on the wall, making noises, pretending somebody was at the door. Some dogs, that will be really hard for them. If they think someone's at the door, we might have to reduce that, make that less of a noise. You might have to stop using your doorbell for a while, because it's a different kind of trigger. They're expecting a stranger at the door, so the excitement levels do increase. So, but if you know that there's an issue there, you can work on that separately, and then work on the other stuff. Make it easy to start with. Give them easy wins. and then we can filter the harder stuff in smaller chunks, lesser levels somehow, making it less noisy, less movement. Because you could do throwing a ball or bouncing or chucking a tug toy around. Some dogs would be too excited to do that initially, but if we can make it a little bit lesser, then we can build up success levels. So it's always finding the next little chunk to be successful.
And that leads us just into a little question we've had, which is from Carolyn, which she says, interested to know how to build duration in the settle for real life rather than in training. My dog will happily go on his bed but tends to move off as soon as he's finished the treat or toy. What would your advice be?
Okay, so people often say exactly that. We're in a training session, but that's not real life. So that means we've got to do more repetition of the training and be proactive about the training, so that there isn't this sudden change. Oh, we're in a training class on Sunday morning or whatever, but every other day of the week is just real life. It just means more repetition is required so that it becomes more natural for the dog to make that choice. It's more of a default behaviour because they've done it so many times in the past. So stick with it, do more repetition. And with the lead, you are preventing them from walking off. But if that creates frustration, I would be stopping when the treat has been finished. Don't expect them to stay there if they've got nothing to do, if they're not calm, because otherwise they're going to start being twitchy, chewing on the lead and getting agitated. That's not the mindset that we're looking for. We want them to be calm and relaxed. And if that means just doing it in 5-minute chunks, 5 minutes works. It's all right.
Sure. Great. And also it's that thing, isn't it, where you're stood in front of a dog and your dog's like, oh, you've got your treat pouch on, are we training then? And then you try and do it in a cafe and, oh, you haven't got your treat pouch on, we must not be training. It's those kind of visual cues, isn't it? Very obvious to the dog whether we're in training mode or not. So
yeah, definitely. Hands in pockets, because that picture of the veterinary consulting room, the little girl looks as if she's holding a little treat in her hand and the spaniel's looking straight ahead. Yeah, they don't miss much, do they? So, and I think, old-fashioned training was, that the dog was supposed to behave in any kind of environment, and that's just not realistic. Some dogs are more resilient than others, and we've got to go with what they're telling us, aren't they? If they're a bit stressed about something, let's make it more manageable for you, and over time and repetition you'll find it easier.
And I think also we quite often we expect one set of behaviours from our dog at home, or we allow one set of behaviours from our dogs at home, and when we go out we want something completely different. And a clear classic example of that is when your dog's always allowed on your sofa at home, totally fine, my dog's on my sofa, and then when you go out your dog has to stay on the floor, and your dog doesn't understand that, oh, you're in a cafe and now you're not meant to be up on the seat. So if you just take a blanket with you, you can quite often put it on the seat next to you and your dog will happily settle in a pub, in a cafe, wherever you take them. So it's just little things like that I think we often forget, and the owners forget about how things are.
Yeah, absolutely. So having a nice little training bag with all your kit in, so that you've got, with a bath mat, they're easy to fold up. They're not heavy, are they? You can pop that in your bag, and that is a lovely visual cue for your dog. Oh, I'm going on that mat because something good is going to happen for me. And that we want, don't we? That they feel safe. And cafes are exciting. There's a lot going on, isn't there? The noises that come from behind the counter, the people, the pushchairs, dogs, food, loads, and that is a big ask. So yeah, sometimes we've got to kind of keep our expectations in check, haven't we, and be a little bit more realistic. Let's take this a little bit slower and calmer, and then we don't get frustrated with them. Which is
And another thing I like to do is I've got a small dog, probably not appropriate for your German Shepherd, but she's bag trained, so she knows if. And she's not a very small dog. She's a 10 kilo French bulldog, so she's not a toy dog. She's not a handbag dog. But I've got quite a large bag for her, so when I take her on the tube and things like that, she's more comfortable. And it just means if I've got the bag there, she knows there's my bed and I can just go and chill out in the bag. So if you've got a small dog that does fit in even quite a large dog bag like I've got, that can really just save lots and lots of stress because your dog knows this is my safe place where I chill out and go to sleep. So
yeah,
maybe
really
yours would
good.
maybe yours would fit in a pup might fit in an IKEA bag. I'm thinking of those American dogs on the metro where they say, dogs have to be in the bag, and you've got a pit bull with the legs cut out on the IKEA bag and they're carrying it around in a bag. So it's
Yeah,
funny.
absolutely. I did meet a little puppy yesterday where they've got a bag under the table, and so they've started doing that so that they can take him up and down the stairs in the bag, and yeah, he'll enjoy that. He'll get used to it. He's soon going to grow out of it, but hey ho, it'll work for a while.
um, just a nice little comment. Chris Mancini, who's on tomorrow, by the way, but we'll come to that in a moment. That was
Okay,
great, thank you, and it's one we need to work on more. So many uses for it.
excellent.
Um,
Thank
em-
you.
Nice little comment from Emma. Fantastic talk about the importance of relaxation for our dogs. Thank you. And from Corrine, it's easy to control the external environmental factors at home. Often people like to come and create a fuss of the dog, causing them to become excited. And that's something which I think people find really hard because we love our dogs. They're an extension of us. We want other people to love our dogs. So when people come over and go, oh my goodness, your dog or your puppy is gorgeous, can I say hi? What's the answer usually?
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it?
So the answer's very often, of course you can. And, if
Mm,
it's a social dog or a happy puppy to go up to someone and, hi, person, then
yeah.
that can become the expectation, can't it? And I,
Yeah.
I personally had a rescue dog who hadn't received very much socialisation when I got her at 4 months old. So I did loads to socialise her. And then I had to sort of undo loads of work because she was just a social butterfly that was, and still is a
Oh,
bit now, where she's like, hi, do you want to say hello to me? Hello, hi, I'm Sunday. Nice to meet you. And she's a little bit like that. So, and if you've got a dog who's always expecting that people are coming to see me to say hi when they go to a pub or something, that is then what they expect, and they sort of work the room, don't they? Do you
yeah,
find?
absolutely.
Do you
Yeah,
have any advice for that?
well, with the assistance dogs, quite often they'll have a jacket on saying, in training, please do not distract. And people cannot help themselves. They still come up and go, oh, what's this all about then? What are they training for? And it is tricky. And the person really has to be brave enough to be an advocate for their dog and say, please, can you leave them be because they're learning to be calm. um, More with your pet dogs, you might be able to say, um, do you mind giving them a treat if they are sitting or not jumping up? But then, why is the dog jumping up? Is it getting too overexcited because of the environment anyway? So, yeah, avoid really busy places until you've got it more of a lower level and then build up.
Yeah, I
Because
have
you
to
can't
say. Sorry, go on.
I just with public areas, if there's loads of people there, it's really tricky. So, like school chuck out, quite often people take their dog to think that they're socialising, and actually they're overwhelmed, and there's too many hands coming towards them. So it's much better to go low and build up, isn't it, than to overwhelm and then have an issue and have to go start from scratch again. So yeah, slow and steady, basically.
Yeah, I think getting people to understand that dogs aren't other people's public property. You know, they're your dog, and they belong to you, and it's okay to
Yeah.
say, do you know what? I don't want you to touch them. And I've had people, the Springer before, who was really quite nervy of people. Um, Someone just came up, and I was trying to have a nice meal, and just sort of went to grab him, and he jumped out of his skin. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to have a nice meal. And I've had to say that to people as well before when they've tried to touch my Frenchie. I'm like, no, she's settled and she's fine, and I'm just trying to enjoy my meal. And if they still carry on, I then have to get a bit cross and say, like, I'm just trying to enjoy my meal here. Can you not see I'm having a drink with a friend or a meal? Or and there is an expectation of the British public that, oh, it's a dog and it must want to say hello to me. I'm good with dogs. It's quite difficult, isn't it,
Wow.
sometimes?
Yeah, because you wouldn't do that to someone's child. You
No.
wouldn't pick them up and cuddle them. You're in trouble, aren't you? And there should be some boundaries with our dogs as well to keep them safe. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, and just a little comment from Paul. Thank you, Julie. Think I've mastered it with my Cocker Spaniel. We'll try this on my teenage daughters. Really interesting. Well, we just give kids screens now, don't we? We're like, here you go, have a screen, you know, yeah.
Have a gadget. Yeah, slightly different reinforcement, isn't it?
So, Julie, you're based down in Hastings, and you teach puppy classes, you do one-to-ones, behaviour consults, all of that down there, don't you?
Yeah, we've got some nice secure fields down here. So if people have reactive dogs, we've got places that we can go where we're safe with no off leaders running up to us. We've got some nice locations down here. So
Perfect.
yeah, do get in touch. Thank you so much.
Is there anything else you want to add before I let everyone know about tomorrow?
No, I was just, what I did mean to mention was about different types of mat training for different purposes.
Hmm.
So I do cooperative care for husbandry procedures. I've got a low coffee table with a yoga mat on top. So that's a different type of mat training. And I know that we've got like pause up and platform training that are more to do with wait your turn, an activity is going to start. So it's not a settle as in completely chill. It's just wait your turn and then we're going to go. So yeah, lots of different types of mat training, but they will recognize the contextual cues that go with that. So give it a while.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so tomorrow we have got the APDT education team. They're coming on. We run instructors courses. So if you're considering a job as a dog trainer, a dog training instructor, somebody that wants to train people to train dogs, they're going to be talking you through the courses that we do. We do a complete beginner's course. So if you've never worked professionally with dogs before, that's the course for you if you're thinking of retraining or changing career. And we also do an advanced course. So if you've been in the industry for a little while, maybe a couple of years, and you've been teaching, then that will be the course for you. But I won't talk about it too much right now because I could, because I did the course actually years ago and it was brilliant. So we've got Chris Mancini and Callum McConnell coming on tomorrow at 6 to talk to us all about that. We'll be doing a nice little Q&A. If you've got people who you think might be interested in becoming a dog trainer, maybe your children are watching, get them to have a little watch and they can learn about how you can become a dog trainer and how you can become an APDT member like us. Thanks everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you so much again for coming, Julie. Hopefully people had a lot to take away from this.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Bye.